drove across the country alone when I was 26 years old. I want you to picture who I was at that age, because context matters here. I was fresh out of a 4-year relationship that had ended badly. I had just left a job I hated, and I owned about 90% of nothing. I had a 2003 Saturn sedan that had 140,000 miles on it, a duffel bag of clothes, a cooler, a sleeping bag, my guitar, and about $800 in cash. I was moving from the East Coast to the Pacific Northwest, where a friend had offered me a couch to sleep on until I figured out my life. The plan, such as it was, involved driving a few hundred miles a day, camping or sleeping in my car when motels were too expensive, and seeing the country. The trip was supposed to take 5 or 6 days. I'd mapped out a route that took me through some beautiful parts of the country I'd never seen. I made it 4 days before the thing I'm about to describe happened. By day 4, I'd crossed into the western portion of the country, and I was moving through big sky territory. The kind of landscape where you can see weather coming from 50 miles away, where the towns are separated by vast distances, and where the nearest help might be a very long time away. It was getting late, probably 8 in the evening, and I was running on a stretch of highway where the last town I'd passed through was getting smaller in my rearview mirror. I had my GPS running on my phone, and I could see the next town was still about 45 miles ahead. I was tired. My back hurt from driving. I'd been going since about 7 that morning. I started looking for a place to pull off and sleep. Now, sleeping in your car is something a lot of people have done, and there's definitely an art to finding a good spot. Rest areas are the obvious choice, but on this particular stretch, the rest area markers on my GPS showed the nearest one was still 30 miles ahead. What I found instead, about 5 miles ahead, was a turnoff, a gravel road that cut off the highway, and after about a quarter mile opened into what looked like an abandoned way station. An old truckway station that clearly hadn't been operational in years. The concrete platform, the little booth, all overgrown and dead and empty. But it was flat. It was off the road. It was not visible from the highway once you turned in. I made the call, pulled in, rolled to the far end of the old way station lot, pointed the car back toward the road so I could see anything coming, and started setting up for sleep. Reclined my seat as far as it would go, wrestled my sleeping bag into the back seat, killed the engine, locked all 4 doors, cracked the front windows about an inch each for air. I ate some crackers and peanut butter from my cooler, texted my friend in Oregon to tell her roughly where I was, and then I just lay there for a while listening to the incredible silence of that place. Out there, without the engine, without the highway noise, it was profoundly quiet. Wind. That was it. Wind moving over flat land. I fell asleep faster than I expected. It was the lights that woke me up. Headlights swinging into the lot, moving slowly over the gravel. I was awake and sitting up before I even fully understood what I was looking at. My body did that for me. A vehicle had pulled into the way station lot and was moving slowly along the far perimeter. The headlights were moving in a slow arc, like whoever was driving was doing a lap of the lot, checking it out. My heart was going. I forced myself to think, okay, could be a cop. Could be someone else who wants to sleep here. Could be a security person checking on the property. All of those are normal explanations. I watched the vehicle complete its slow circuit of the far end of the lot. Then it stopped. Engine still running. Lights still on. Facing in my general direction, though not directly, off to the side a bit. It just sat there. No one got out. It just sat there with its engine running and its lights on. I sat in my car and watched it, and I thought, if this is a cop, they would have come to my window by now. If this is someone looking to sleep, they would have parked and turned the engine on. Neither of those things was happening. The vehicle, I could tell it was a pickup truck, dark colored, couldn't make out the plate in the dark, sat there for probably 5 minutes. I didn't move, I didn't flash my lights, I didn't do anything. I just sat there and watched it and kept my hand on my door lock and thought about what my options were. My options, when I laid them out in my head, were pretty limited. I was in a car, not a truck. The Saturn had 140,000 miles on it, and sometimes hesitated when cold. The gravel road back to the highway was the only way out, and the pickup was currently between me and that road. I was trying very hard not to panic. Panic makes you stupid. I'd read that somewhere, and I believed it. Then the pickup moved. It started moving toward me. Slowly, very slowly, creeping across the gravel lot in my direction. I started my car. I did not wait to see what happened next. I put it in drive, turned my wheels toward the gap between the approaching pickup and the edge of the lot, and I went. I accelerated hard across the gravel, my undercarriage scraping on a rut, the tires spitting rocks, and I made it past the pickup. It was moving to cut me off. I could see that now, swinging its nose to block me, but it was too slow. I made it past with maybe 10 feet to spare, and I hit the gravel road at speed. I fishtailed onto the highway and floored it. In my rearview mirror, I saw the pickup's headlights at the turnoff. It sat there for a moment. Then, it pulled onto the highway. It was following me. I do not want to tell you I stayed calm, because I didn't. I was scared in a white-knuckle, heart-and-throat way that I had never been scared before. I was doing 80 miles an hour on a dark, empty highway with a truck behind me, and I was trying to think. Think. I grabbed my phone off the seat without looking away from the road, and I called 911. I told the dispatcher I was being followed on the highway, gave her my location from the GPS, gave her my direction, told her I had a vehicle pursuing me. She was calm. She told me units were being sent. She told me to keep driving and to not stop under any circumstances. The truck stayed behind me, not getting closer, but not falling back either, just staying there. Like it was content to follow and see where I went. I saw lights ahead, the distant glow of the next town. I was still about 20 miles out, but I could see the glow on the horizon, and I drove toward it like it was a lighthouse. About 8 miles outside of town, a sheriff's vehicle came from the opposite direction, crossed the median, and fell in behind the truck. Blue and red lights. The truck pulled over. I didn't stop to see what happened. The dispatcher told me to keep driving and go directly to the county sheriff's station in town, which she gave me the address for. I drove straight there. I sat in that parking lot for about 20 minutes. My hands were shaking. I couldn't stop them. I pressed them flat against my thighs and just breathed. A deputy came to talk to me about 40 minutes later. He was young, probably my age, and he had that careful, professional face that cops use when they're trying not to alarm you. He told me the vehicle had been stopped. He told me the driver had a history of concerning behavior in the area. He was careful with his words, very careful. He told me I'd made the right call by driving rather than confronting. He also told me something that has stuck with me. He said that stretch of highway had had incidents involving isolated vehicles, people sleeping in cars at pull-offs, over the past several months. He said they hadn't been able to make anything stick legally, but they knew the pattern. A pattern. That word hit me hard. Not a random night. Not a chance encounter. A pattern. I drove the rest of the way to Oregon the next day without stopping except for gas. And I paid for gas only at well-lit stations with other people around. I made it to my friend's couch 30 hours after that way station. I slept for almost 14 hours straight. That Saturn is long gone now. I've driven hundreds of thousands of miles since then for work and for life. But I have not slept in my car since that night. Not once. If I'm tired, I find a motel. I don't care about the cost. There are things worth paying for, and your safety is at the absolute top of that list.
Thank you for listening. If you like this story, please consider like, comment, and subscribe the channel.